welcome to the Biotopes. I'm just doing a real quick water change here on these two tanks using my nifty fill manifold system that I built in my last video. If you want to see how I did that, how it works, how I built it, be sure to check that video out. Today, I'm going to take you on the first tour of our first sump system. If you recall, I've got double 75 tanks running on one sump. So today I'm going to show you how we set up that first sump, how it's working. Let's dive right into that. All right, here's my first double 75 gallon system, right on top of each other, and below is our 10 gallon sump. Now I know what you're thinking, 10 gallons, that's hardly enough for two 75 gallon tanks, but if you get it dialed right in and you take some precautions, it will work. And it's been running this way for well over a week. I've tested it to make sure that it can handle if the power goes out and there's backflow into the sump. So everything is working great. So let's take a closer look. Okay, so again, remember this is where the water comes in the fish room. This is a shutoff valve here. Obviously it's now on. Water comes down past this union. Elbows around here. This is 3/4 inch PVC. And then right to this gate valve that is leading into the sump. So when I want to add water to the sump or change water, all I've got to do is turn that valve and water is added into the sump system and then pumped out. So here we'll start with the pumps. These are two pumps. This first one is going to the bottom tank. The back one is going to the top tank. That back one is a CJ Synchro 3.0. And this first one is a Magna Bubble. I think it's a 2000. And I've got both of them on both our valves here. Now, I didn't have a valve on the CJ at first because that one's adjustable on the pump, but could not get it dialed in without the valve, so I installed that valve and now they're dialed in well. So they're pumping water out. You can see these two lines, the top line there and the bottom line, that's where I want my water to be, somewhere in between those two lines. I know if it's between those two lines, there's enough room to backflow into the tank, and it's the correct volume in the sump to set the tanks at the proper depth. So these are getting pumped out just through 3/4 inch black kind of vinyl tubing. The first one here comes right up through this little kind of outflow. Let me lift this lid up here so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so there it is. You can see I've got that output set just at the height of the water level. There's also a hole drilled in the back to create a vacuum if the water level starts to rise without the pump working. The top tank here, you can see, also has an outflow. And you can see I've got this polycarbonate lid on top there, but again, you can see through here that it's set just below the water level, and again there's a hole drilled in the back of that outflow to create a vacuum. So the water flows into the aquarium, and then remember I've got these drilled, and that is a 1-inch bulkhead. On this end, I've got a slip by barb elbow fitting with a pre-filter sponge. On the back, I've got a slip by barb elbow fitting for the vinyl hose to head down to the sump. We'll come back here to the bottom tank. Again, same thing. I've got drilled there with a pre-filter sponge, and that is essentially overflowing into the sump. This setup here is just a Y with a couple of ball valves. So right now this is open. This is coming from the top tank. This is open and water is overflowing down this hose into the sump. If I ever want to do water change, what I can do is I can close this and open up this valve here. This valve, when open, leads into the drainage housing down below, the 1.5 inch PVC pipe that heads out of the fish room for my drainage. So that's how I would do water change. I would just flip these and add water to the sump, and new water is coming in, and that old water is leaving. So real easy to do a water change. It's not what I would call maybe automatic, but it is real easy to operate, and it causes me to have to kind of have my hands in and on the tanks and not just kind of set it and forget it. So that's why I did that. All right, so we're overflowing down into the sump. Let's head down here. All right, you see in the back, that is the entry to the drainage right in the middle, that black PVC. And I think that is 1 inch right into that 1.5 inch pipe. That is that bottom pipe that leads right around the room and out. The housing on the hose on the left is fit into a 3/4 inch bulkhead, and that is exiting into the sump. This other housing or hosing, is, I think it's a 1 inch vinyl hose that's leading into the sump. That's my overflow. I'm gonna take this lid off. I had my buddies at Salty Critter make this little kind of holder for me to hold that hose into the tank. You can see I've got a little strainer here to kind of catch the water as it's coming out. And then what I did is I built a kind of DIY wet dry filter. So it goes through some fine filter floss. These are just these drawers you can find in any kind of housewares or hobby store. I drilled holes at the bottom of each drawer so it's dripping onto some filter media. There's some bio rings. Okay, you're gonna see that. And then it goes down another level into another tray of bio rings, and that's drilled and then goes out into the sump. What I've done is I just used some light diffuser to kind of prop this shelving up so it's at the right height. I've got this heater in here. I don't think I'm going to need the heater, but this is a 300 watt heater, but it's not plugged in. I'm not using it. The water's at mid to high 70s, so it's working pretty well. And then at the bottom here, I've just got some media sponge just for more surface area. Then I've got this really coarse kind of plastic porette sponge here that I cut to size. This is from, what's the name of that store? I can't remember where I got this. I'll put it here in the screen below. But that's working really great. It's really coarse and really sturdy and stiff. And then back to the pumps where it's pulled through. It's really important that in your sumps, remember, water is going to go where it finds the least resistance. So if I had water above this, the sponge, then it would just flow over it and not through it. but because I've got this sponge above that water line, it's forced to be pulled through this media. Same thing here. It's forced down because this is above the water line, and just above the water line into that third tray. If you can kind of see, just above. So the water is forced down through those bar rings into that bottom tray and then out the holes at the bottom. Sure, we'll probably, we lose a little bit in these trays. These trays aren't watertight. You kind of see some water dripping off the lip of that. But by and large, 90+% is being pulled down through that wet dry filter. And then across that media, back into the pump. And that's really the setup. Again, I made just a real, just cut some polycarbonate sheets here to just keep evaporation to a minimum. And there's a bit of a hum that I'm still kind of trying to work out, but we'll get that figured out over time. So that's it. This 10-gallon sump probably is holding maybe 4 gallons, 3 gallons. But it's a really cool alternative to a canister or hang in the back. And it saves a lot of space that fits nicely down underneath this stand. So let's pan back here so you can see the whole thing. So it's all running together really nicely. This is just some detritus here on the bottom, just from that water sitting in there for a while. I had the water kind of in there without it being pumped around for a while. And with the light on it, I think it's just growing a little bit of algae, which is not that big of a deal. So yeah, that's the first setup. Each sump in the room is going to be a little bit different. They're all between 10 and 15 gallons, but the way we're going to set them up is going to be a little bit different each time. So yeah, I hope you like that. Okay, everybody, so that's it. So that is the first double 75 setup with our sump. Remember, in those 2 tanks, we're going to have 2 biotopes. The bottom one's going to be our Solomos River in Peru, which we'll get more detail next. The top one's going to be a Costa Rican biotope, which we'll have details when that one comes out. So those will be the first 2 biotopes that we build in this biotope gallery. If you like any of the plumbing, questions about how we did the sump, any issues, are you trying to build a sump or any type of flow-through system, please leave that in the comments below. And be sure to tune in next time as we set up that first biotope of the Solomos River, which is the Upper Amazon in Peru. It's going to be a fantastic build, show you how we research it and how we're going to do it, all the fish included. So be sure to tune in for that. If you're interested in that type of thing, be sure to subscribe, make that like button blue, hit that, that notification bell, and share this with your friends. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.